I'm old school, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And part of my car audio upbringing included a certain yellow Blazer that hailed from these parts that was the envy of everybody I knew, including myself.
Some Rockford power in it?
Yeah, you could say that. You know, it had these little things, 16, 15s, but who's counting?
Right.
It used to be loud or something. Anyway, I always envied that vehicle and I always wanted one myself. So, here's a 1990 S10 Blazer. Got a little go-go power under it like the Aspen does. And this thing, I've had it for the past 6 years and I've been building on it with the help of Russ at Octave and several other guys' inputs. We basically built the system. I wouldn't say, I built the car around the system basically. So listening to it in real time during the install to see how angles and enclosures, volumes, and various drivers and components would make it sound in the listening environment. So it's been a work in progress. It's not a, you know, throw crap where it fits and tune it later. It's a tune it during the install, make the install, you know, take advantage of the acoustics that you're dealt. So, it's at least 1,000 pounds heavier than a normal Blazer, so I needed some motivation in terms of under the hood to get this thing on and off the trailer. So there's a small block 400 in there with what's that GM transmission? It's not the turbo 350.
700?
Yeah, that thing.
Okay.
That thing. Just a little 10-bolt rear end. It's certainly not built to win any speed records, but it's basically just sound kind of nasty. You know, bark,
it does, yes.
Fight kind of thing. And again, Big Mink will destroy this thing. But I guess we start under the hood.
Okay.
Pop. So under here. I'm from Florida, so we got to keep the air. Air is there. Small block 400. You can come up over the top. You can see how much room I don't have for electric fans and aluminum radiators.
Very tight.
Dual Optimas under the hood. 250 amp alternator. Not much else to tell you about under here except it sounds pretty mean. It makes people look and take notice, and that's what I like. Gotta be old school. Gotta keep with the theme. Nothing says old school like tweed and trunk liner. Therefore, there's tweed and there's trunk liner. And of course, there's plexi. No fiberglass, no paint. Plexi. Well, the fiberglass is under the tweed, but anyway.
No painted fiberglass.
Factory defrost works. Factory AC works. Blinkers work, power windows. We got the old school Sony C90 head unit, and it is mounted in the back to keep the signal cables as short as possible. Signal cables are about a foot and a half, maybe.
Okay.
What's up front is a Sony monitor for display. One of these. It uses the TV tuner to do the Sony display graphics for track volume and all that garbage. It is a four-way setup, three-way front stage, Audium TLR with beryllium replacement diaphragms on the top, Focal 7KX mid-range as the mid-range just below it, and then below that is a JBL 2118 Pro Audio 8 in the kick. The mid-ranges are the only things that have enclosures in this vehicle. Both the 15-inch subs and the mid-basses are free air through the floor. The mid-ranges have 0.4 sealed, and they are in enclosures that are probably 55 to 60 pounds each, and they're bolted to the subframe and side structure. So as you can see, this is a non-standard seating position. The seats have been moved back a full 12 inches and in about 3 inches. So you're more centrally located and further away from the stage. It took us about 2 months of real-time listening to get the angles and position and geometry of the mid-range and tweeter and mid-bass placed. So we listened to it before we glassed it in, so to speak. And I've done it in such a way that I'm using the reflections of the side glass and the windshield to our advantage.
Nice.
And tried to, behind those grills, there's tons of dampening material to absorb standing waves. So it's all a question of taming the reflections or making them work to your advantage. And that's what this thing's based on. It's not throw the speakers where they fit and tune it later. It's build it right the first time. Tuning comes easy. AC controls still work. These are the the window switches, various power switches. Everything's run by the Sony remote, so you don't have to leave the seated position to work track up and down. A certain green Civic donated its C90. So here's the faceplate, and here's the actual deck with the transport. It's a little dusty and dirty back here, but you'll have to forgive me. Behind this panel lies the Arc Audio PS8, which is the system's processor. I am, however, using the Sony XDP 4000 as the outboard DAC between the head unit and the PS8. So I've got the outboard DAC feeding analog to the PS8.
Okay.
Behind each seat is a Kinetic Route 31 sealed battery. Those are the ones used in SPL.
Okay.
Those were 70 pounds a piece.
Yeah, they're not light.
Some extra current capacity. Some other AC vents to help keep the judges happy. Velour headliners, some tweed, trunk liner going all the way around. And let's go to the back. Okay, so system diagram with matching graphics from the side of the truck. We got a pair of IDW 15s, JBL 2118s, Focal 7KX mid-ranges, and the Audium TLR tweets. And you can see the 15s there. They're mounted face down. They're in a chamber that's vented through the floor, so they do play true isobaric through the floor of the vehicle in front of the rear end. It's heavily dampened with lamb's wool. Amplifiers are under this lovely towel here. So we've got the shortest possible speaker wire, the shortest possible signal cable runs. All speaker wires, except for the subwoofer, are Ixos 13 gauge, and then the subwoofer wire is Ixos 11 gauge. On the subs, we've got an Arc Audio 2500 XXK. It's got within 12 inches of wire an X-Static Batcat 400. On the mid basses, we got the Celestra VA210. It's got a X-Static mini cap within 12 inches of its power wire. On the tweeters, we got the other VA210. It's also got a X-Static mini cap within 12 inches. And on the mid-ranges is a very exotic amp called a Fast RE50. It's a pretty proprietary circuitry design that they have come up with there that sort of mimics a tube amplifier sound. That's running those mid-ranges. I'm just trying these amps out for right now. Obviously, That's a departure from last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that I'm experimenting with, but if you can zoom down and get underneath that plexiglass, you can see the custom power distribution underneath there. Can you get it down there?
Yeah, I got it down there. See it?
It's kind of hard to see it in this light. All the fusing's underneath, but this is a 3-tier little amplifier rack.